Emeka tried to move away, but she held him tight. "Just relax, Emeka," she said. "I'm just trying to help." "Auntie, what are you doing?" Emeka asked nervously. "Don't worry, Emeka. You're going to enjoy it. Promise me you won't tell your father." Emeka was an 8-year-old boy who lived with his father and stepmother, Evelyn. His parents had separated years ago, and he rarely saw his mother. While his father, Mr. Obi, was loving, Emeka always felt uneasy around Evelyn. She acted kind, but something about her behavior unsettled him. One evening, while Emeka was getting ready for bed, Evelyn entered his room. "I'll help you get ready," she said with a smile. She picked out his pajamas and tried to assist him in changing. Emeka hesitated. "I can do it myself," he murmured, stepping back. But Evelyn gently placed a hand on his shoulder. "It's all right, dear. Let me help." Though her voice was sweet, her insistence made Emeka uncomfortable. He turned away and quickly changed on his own. Evelyn simply smiled and walked out, but Emeka lay awake that night, confused and uneasy. The next day, Mr. Obi took Emeka shopping for new clothes. He picked a blue shirt and a pair of sneakers, excited about his new look. But when they got home, Evelyn took his shirt and put it on. "It fits me too, isn't it nice?" she said, twirling in front of the mirror. Emeka forced a laugh, but deep down, something about it felt wrong. Later that evening, she stroked his hair as he watched television. "You're such a handsome boy," she murmured. Emeka shifted uncomfortably. His real mother used to say that, but it felt different coming from Evelyn. That night, he lay in bed, thinking about everything. Why was she so involved in his space? Why did she make him uncomfortable? He wanted to tell his father, but Mr. Obi always seemed too busy to listen. He tried to push the thoughts aside, but his stepmother's actions continued. She began entering his room without knocking, standing too close, or watching him for too long. Each small thing seemed harmless on its own, but together they made Emeka feel trapped. One night, as he drifted off to sleep, he heard soft footsteps outside his door. His heart raced. The doorknob turned slightly. Holding his breath, he shut his eyes tight and pretended to be asleep. A long pause followed before the door clicked shut again. The next morning, Emeka was exhausted as he was about to take his bath. Evelyn walked into the bathroom. "I'll help you wash your back," she said with a smile. Emeka felt uncomfortable, but he didn't say anything. His stepmom started washing his back, but then she began to wash his hair and body too. Emeka felt like he was too old for his stepmom to be bathing him. Emeka tried to move away, but she held him tight. "Just relax, Emeka," she said. "I'm just trying to help." "Auntie, what are you doing?" Emeka asked nervously. "Don't worry, Emeka. You're going to enjoy it. Promise me you won't tell your father." "No, I won't," Emeka replied hesitantly. He knew he had to talk to someone, but who? At school, Emeka couldn't focus. During recess, he saw his teacher, Miss Aid, sitting under a tree. She was kind and often reminded students that they could talk to her about anything. Taking a deep breath, he approached her. "Miss Aid?" he whispered. She looked up. "Emeka, what's wrong? You look troubled." He hesitated before speaking. "It's about my stepmother. She's been acting strange." Miss Aid listened carefully as Emeka explained everything. Her expression grew serious. "Emeka, I'm really glad you told me. You should never feel uncomfortable in your own home. I'll help you." That afternoon, Miss Aid called Mr. Obi and carefully explained Emeka's concerns. Mr. Obi was silent for a long moment. "I didn't know he felt this way," he admitted. "Children don't always speak up until it becomes overwhelming," Miss Aid said, "but it's important to listen when they do." That night, Emeka overheard his father confronting Evelyn. "You need to respect Emeka's space. He's not comfortable with your behavior." "I was just trying to be a good stepmother," Evelyn protested. "It doesn't matter what you intended. What matters is how he feels." The argument went on for what felt like hours. Emeka curled up in bed, feeling both relieved and guilty. Had he caused trouble? Would things get worse? The next day, Mr. Obi sat down with Emeka. "I'm sorry I didn't notice before. From now on, I promise to listen. If anything ever bothers you again, tell me right away." Emeka nodded. "I promise." Over time, things changed. Evelyn apologized and agreed to give Emeka more space. Mr. Obi became more attentive. ensuring his son felt heard. Therapy sessions were arranged to help the family rebuild trust. But Emeka remained cautious. He had learned that speaking up made a difference and that his feelings mattered. He knew now that his safety and comfort were important, that he wasn't alone. Late one night, he heard footsteps outside his door again. His heart pounded, but this time the footsteps stopped short. Then they retreated. Emeka let out a breath. Things weren't perfect, but he had taken control of his life. He knew he had people who would listen, and that was enough to make him feel safe again. Months passed, and Emeka began to feel a sense of normalcy return. With his father's support, he grew more confident in expressing himself. He started making new friends at school and focusing on his studies without distraction. One afternoon, his father surprised him with a visit to see his mother. It had been a long time since they had spent a day together, and Emeka felt a deep sense of relief and happiness. His mother hugged him tightly. "I've missed you, my son." As they sat in the park, watching the sunset, Emeka shared everything that had happened. His mother listened intently, holding his hand. "You did the right thing, Emeka. Always trust your instincts, and remember, you are never alone." As they walked back, Emeka felt lighter, as if a great burden had lifted. He had faced his fears, spoken up, and found strength within himself. He knew there would always be challenges ahead, but now he was ready to face them with courage. Years later, Emeka looked back at that time with a sense of pride. He had grown into a strong and confident young man, unafraid to speak his mind and stand up for himself. He promised that if he ever had children of his own, he would always be there to listen to them, just as he had needed someone to listen to him. But there was one thing that never left him, a lingering question. Late at night, he sometimes wondered what would have happened if he had never spoken up. If Evelyn had gone unchecked, there were moments, subtle and strange, that still haunted him, the way she would whisper his name when she thought he was asleep. The locked box he once saw in her closet, filled with items that didn't belong to her. And the way, even after she had been confronted, she never truly stopped watching him. Even in adulthood, Emeka would sometimes wake in the night, feeling a presence, only to find nothing but shadows. Perhaps it was just his mind playing tricks. Or perhaps some things never really go away, and somewhere, buried deep within the past, a secret remained done he had never dared to uncover. Lesson from Emeka's story. Speaking up can change everything. Emeka's courage to express his feelings made a difference, reminding us that our voices matter and boundaries are important. What did you learn? Share your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, and subscribe for more stories. Thanks for watching. See you in the next story.